there's a recording and a streaming button, and like they are way too close to each other. So like sometimes I've accidentally hit that when I'm like the streaming button when I'm meant to hit record, and I've just been like fucking, or I didn't even mean to hit either of them, and I was just sort of streaming to nothing from nobody. And like I'm fortunate nothing was happening when that was happening that I would be super embarrassed about, but like fucking it sucked. I was like, I get messages from people and they're like, you're streaming, right? And I'm like, no, actually I fucking didn't. And then the panic sets in. Holy shit, what the fuck was I doing? Was I doing anything drastically bad? Alright, so somebody say words. Words.
Hello.
Word.
Cool.
Kinda.
Words.
Hello.
Cool. Everybody's on. We're all good. Gooch. So everybody. What?
Robo.
Yeah. So this is a stream about Dana. I think it will involve Dana Carver from Michigan, and the stream is going to be about the situation that came to a head recently, where Dana was silenced repeatedly and routinely in a meeting by Andrew Chatterdon, which is, I hate that name on a significant and severe level. But just to be super clear, that like she's now being removed potentially while she's away on a religious religious sort of I
Retreat.
think it's a retreat. It's like a normal thing done around solstice this time of year, if I understand correctly. This is like Litha. So like, I'm not pagan / Wiccan. I am like familiar enough with it that like, when I first was watching this, like I was just thinking about my friends in these communities and being like, this is fucked up what's happening. And so I thought of I got Dana, and I was like, let's do a revenge stream, and let's like air out as much of this shit as possible before this removal happens, so that if it does, people know how shit went down. So with all that being said, let's get started with introductions, and we will start with the people who have not yet been on the channel, who are Carl, Bell, and Jay, and then we will get to Angela, Jamie, and then Bryce, who 4 of 5 of those people are like people from the like Michigan area, and one of those is Bryce, who watched the stream and thought, this is fucked up what's going on. So generally there's going to be people from a variety of districts, and also Bryce is like angry with Mises Caucus leadership as well for what Karen did with like districts in like the pre-LNC bullshit, just sort of essentially doing the same kind of shit that like they would have called out the previous administration for doing. So plenty of stuff to go over, and we're gonna have people popping in and out, and if you or somebody has also suffered Andrew Chatterdon, you might be entitled to join this stream. So send them the link, say words to them, and make sure that we can say words to as many people as possible. With that being said, Carl, who be you? What be you on this thing?
What's up? This is the third time this year that they've tried to Dana. Once she allegedly broke it for stupid stuff. It's all stupid, and she asked for the meeting to be moved 2 days, I think 2 or 3 days, so she could complete her religious retreat. They declined to do that for her, which shows the characters that they are.
Yep.
And Dana is a dedicated libertarian. There's nobody more that you'd want on your side than Dana. She's very passionate. She fights for you. She'll cry for you. She fights tooth and nail for the cause, and they are trying to get rid of her for whatever reason, because they know that they're in the wrong. That's why they're trying to silence her. That's why they got rid of Wayne County. That's why they got rid of Flint, Genesee County. That's why they do whatever they do to get rid of the people that disagree with them. Threats.
All right. Jay, words. Jay. Words. I guess not. We'll move on to Angela.
I am back for my second appearance, so thanks again for having us on. I'm also a member of the Michigan Party, and yes, this is the second or third time they've tried to remove Dana. They will remove Dana this time.
No, they will not.
I think they will. I think they have the votes. It's not right. They shouldn't have the votes because, as we talked about in the last time, there were at least 2 board members who were elected to the board that Andrew refuses to seat. The reason he refuses to seat them is because they do not support Mises Caucus, and he appointed people to replace the elected members in those seats, even though the seats are technically not vacant. He says they are. And so he has added 2 more people to vote in those seats so that Dana, he'll have his 2/3 this time. He didn't have it before. He'll have it this time. It's absolutely insane what he gets away with. I am just totally, absolutely flabbergasted by the fact that there is no pushback from anybody on his board. One thing he does very good is make sure that he surrounds himself with nobody who will ever vote against him. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen. His ability to get people like that on his board, people who have apparently no independent streaks whatsoever. I don't even know. Jamie may have some more insight to that, but it's the most bizarre thing that I can think of. So
yeah,
and
like
Andrew himself.
Go.
Andrew himself was never elected chair of the party. He was never elected. He was appointed due to a series of unfortunate events. But he was never elected. He's been recalled a couple times, and he's won his way through appeals both times. So, but
yeah, because like I mean Michelle, who I also hope joins us, because she also seemed like disenfranchised with the process, to say it in a way. She like accurately called out like that this was cult bullshit that was being witnessed. Seems like an apt way to put it. Jay, are you able to words now? You are.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know where I was. I had a good thought a minute ago, but then it kind of drifted away. What my friend,
A little closer to your mouth.
Dude, I did it again. I had that thing in the mouth.
Eh.
He's not going to let anybody in that doesn't agree with doesn't agree with him. And I agree with just looking from the outside and watching the way he does things and listening to basically every one of his board meetings. I missed this last one, but I've listened to most of it. There are people you speak to individually that seem to be reasonable on that board, and then they're not. They don't behave that way. He just has complete control, and I don't know why he can bully people the way he does, and why they don't push for this, and why they're maybe so afraid of maybe they bought into this Mises dogma, Mises doctrinaire.
Which is a shame,
but
because
I don't know why they all would have.
Mises would probably hate what they're doing.
That's the problem. I mean, it's really not Mises. Okay, let me back up.
Yeah.
It's not Mises. It's Andrew Chadigan. And like I said earlier, Mises as a kind caucus idea is not terrible, but their leadership is horrible. It just sucks. These are terrible people. And Andrew is just another good example. People hate Mises for people like Andrew. People hate Mises because of people like Adrian. People hate Mises because of people like Karen Ann. But that's not all what Mises is, obviously. But those are people who pull a lot of strings in Mises. And Andrew desires to pull as many strings and rise up as quickly as he can in this little organization.
Yeah.
That to me is the only thing I can see the reason for him to do it the way he does it towards people he was friends with. You can talk to Jamie about that. I mean, this is what blows my mind: the underhandedness and the sneakiness that which they went about doing it. But I got to say that I get all the secondhand from those guys, and they're the ones that dealt with it. They're the ones that listened to him say one thing and do another as soon as he got the power.
Yeah, absolutely fuck Adrian Malagon, by the way, while we're at it. That's
sure, why not? He's
fucking like evil cunt.
He's an evil cunt.
Yes, fuck Adrian.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that on the record.
Yeah.
I will too. I mean,
Jamie, intros.
I had an unnecessary little exchange with him. Wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So, he just got insulting very quickly. So anyway, that's really what I got to say. Those guys, they know the facts. I mean, like I said, I didn't realize that I was expected to have a lot of information here. I will say that Dana's a puncher, and Dana's somebody that you don't want that's not on your side, to be honest with you. And she can be hard sometimes, but she's smart. She's really smart, surprisingly smart for the way she seems to come off, and I think surprisingly smart for the way they think they can push her around. She's not very pushable, and I think that just pisses them off. So,
Jamie, words.
Yeah. So one of the things, Andrew is a big bully. He is the quintessential bully. And his thing is he is quiet as a church mouse in public, and when he's around strangers and he's trying to represent himself in a certain way. But as soon as he's got his sycophants in a room, and again, we're talking about then he just thinks that he can just bully everyone. And the thing is he really does he's a misogynist, and I think that's what he's doing. Is he is intentionally pushing Dana's buttons. And when I said PTSD when we were talking in the pre-show, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's like an abusive relationship. I mean, he's just toxic as fuck, and he just pushes her buttons, and she, God love her, she's not wrong, but she reacts, and then he takes that and weaponizes that. So he just pushes, pokes until she explodes, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, look at this crazy person. But she has and is and will continue to point out where he is going wrong, where he's failing the party, where he's failing membership. And he can't have that. He just can't have it.
Yeah, like, the vast majority of what I saw in that stream was just, let's make sure this is following the rules. Let's make sure that this isn't fucking illegal. And if it is illegal or isn't following the rules, we shouldn't even proceed until we ensure that the actual legal process is being met. And to me, that's like basic shit. And so it was infuriating to watch. And it wasn't just the stream either, because I was there for the last hour of that one, and I was watching the evil happen in real time, and being like, this is how it's been? This is what, people have been dealing with? And then I watched, some of the other ones, and, the one where the, official split happened, and I think Brian is his name, got kicked off the call. If he wants to join this, by the way, if any of you know Brian, and he wants in, feel free to let him know. Send him a link. But the general thing is, I am an exaggeratively hateful person. I am full of negativity. I am not remotely shy about saying that. And when I see this kind of shit, it makes me really fucking hateful. in a very specific way. I want to do things that I can't say on YouTube. You know, I'm just very, and so when I like, I just watched her be like, follow the rules, and basically be told, go fuck yourself, and we're removing you. Just, Bryce, you also were there for the last like 20 minutes of it, and you saw some of the chicanery going on.
Yeah, I mean that Andrew Chatterton is definitely one of those people from the few interactions or the few things I've seen of him that I can definitely understand why people don't like Mises Caucus or why they have such a vitriol reaction to it. Because if that is what they see on a fucking daily basis, yeah, I'd be fucking pissed too. It's like, and I went back and watched the full stream, and I'm trying to fucking, get the other side of the fucking argument here, just so I have the complete picture, and I know and I can kind of disseminate from there what's going on. But best case scenario, he's still a fucking prick, and the Mises Caucus would be better off without him representing him.
Yeah, and that's the best case. So, Jamie.
Yeah, I was going to just say, and I think, Bryce, maybe you and I had talked about this, but, if the Mises Caucus leadership would quit backing that clown, the divide in Michigan, number one, wouldn't have happened if they wouldn't have backed him. Anyone but Chatterton, pretty much. It would go away, because he is the source of the divide. He is toxic. He is unreasonable. He's just a fucking dick.
He is,
Yeah.
and I just want to go back to something that I think Bryce pointed out, which is that and Jamie too, if the Mises Caucus wasn't backing him, he would already be gone. And that part is something that honestly, it just cracks me up, because I'm not sure they're getting any kind of a return on their investment with him. The party is shrinking. He doesn't donate any money to the party. He's not. Again, we're at this point, we're missing like $17,000 that isn't accounted for under his watch. People don't like him, other than I think Karen Ann likes him, and that seems to be his meal ticket. But from the party structure as a whole, why they are investing so much money and energy into keeping him in this seat baffles me, because there are lots of other people who are Mises loyalists who could have done this chair thing way better than Andrew ever could dream of, but they, for some reason, want him in there, and I don't understand that. Again, it's like Jamie also said, when you meet Andrew, he comes across, he's quiet, he's unassuming, he's well-spoken, he seems well thought out, and that is always the case until you disagree with him on anything. It can be the most minor thing in the world. He will start to argue with you, trying to change your mind, and then it escalates into something beyond all sanity. And it takes a while for people to see that in him. And I wish Dana was here, because when this all started out, she was on, Team Chatterton, and she was on that board, and we were the rogue board, and we were terrible, and we weren't speaking, and she hated all of us. And then it became her turn to be the unhappy person, and she started looking at exactly. And she saw what he was doing. I mean, I don't think she would even mind being a scapegoat if it was for the right reason. But she saw what he was doing and how he wasn't letting anybody else talk. He wasn't accepting any ideas. He was actively pushing people away. And she dared to stand up and speak out against it. And that was that. He can't have that. He absolutely can't have that. You may remember last week when Dave was on the call, he pointed out that Andrew told him that he really didn't want elected people on his board. He wanted to handpick everybody. Well, Dana wasn't handpicked. She was elected. So that's a problem in Andrew world.
Yeah, that seemed like a real sticking point in the like meeting where she got removed. She was like, the people like in my district actually like want me to some extent. I was actually elected, and like because I wasn't part of this fucking jack off process where everybody's like, you know, appointees, fucking you want me out. Seems anyway.
Oh, she's not wrong. I mean, and her district will put her right back in at the next convention. They love her.
Yeah. Jay, you got any words about that? Because you seemed particularly passionate about this particular end of the subject, like people liking her.
Who are we talking about, Dana?
Yeah.
Dana's. I love Dana, but don't cross her. And you can, and there are people who very reasonably thought Dana was just a horrible person to deal with. Maybe on this call. And that's okay because Dana's just an intensely honest person.
And you know, like,
and all,
same, because like
I've ever seen her do.
Go ahead.
Sorry? No. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
All I've ever seen. So,
yeah.
Ever.
Well, so generally speaking, that's the same thing I get. You know, I self-identify as a fucking asshole. You know, like I'm not. I don't care if I'm not easy to work with as long as what I'm saying is what I feel to be the truth. So that part of, like, I don't know, probably game recognized game in that regard. Like, I've personally, I haven't had a problem with Dana yet. Like, so I don't envision having problems in that regard because, you know, I think that there needs to be a sort of upswing, a resurgence of people willing to be assholes and not, like, oh, you don't want me to rock the boat? Let me fucking capsize it. Watch that happen.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Because any boat that would fucking run like this, sail this way, doesn't deserve to float.
And to be clear, we're fucking that's part of who we're supposed to be, and she's a great libertarian.
Yeah.
So,
Carl.
She's a great libertarian, but she does the stuff. I mean, she goes out. I mean, she's an activist.
Oh yeah.
She's run for office. She's, you know, she actually holds some record for the number of votes she's got. So she's, you know, not only does she talk the talk, she walks the walk. She's the real deal. She's the whole package.
And she does it in her own hometown in a very big way. She does it in her neck of the woods, and she doesn't worry about anybody else. This whole thing is, I think she was surprised actually that she allowed herself to get involved this deeply in this bullshit, because she really prides herself in what she does at home. Yeah. I think you guys would probably agree.
Let's look at the reasons why they're trying to censure her. They're trying to censure her based on Andrew says that she personally is suing the Libertarian Party because of Andrew's trying to disenfranchise the delegates before convention. That's not the case. She did not sue the Libertarian Party. She joined a lawsuit against Andrew Chatterton, who tried to disenfranchise the delegates who were elected.
And it was just for a restraining order.
Yeah. It's not like she's trying to go after the party or anything. She successfully aided in restoring the delegates to the convention, which bravo for that. Which a lot of people had a lot of time and money invested into travel plans and stuff like that, only to find out a week before convention that they're not going. You know, and Dana restored that. That's the whole basis for Andrew trying to remove her.
Yeah, like when and the whole shit there, where he just kept on his petty, stupid, fucking bullshit. Like, if you're going to say that people are out of order and not well taken because they're fucking being slightly rude to you or somebody else on the board. You cannot, from the position of that same chair, like, wield that dignity as a cudgel against somebody else, you know, while also saying that, well, if you want the meeting to be moved, it could be moved to now. It could be moved to now, where we could just depose you now and you could resign, or some shit like, you know, oh yeah, if you would just stop suing the party, maybe we could talk. And it's like, this isn't yours. Shut the fuck up, Andy.
That's right. Shut the fuck up, Andrew Chatterton.
So,
sick of your shit.
People here are free to say words.
I mean, I've kind of spoken pretty much exactly where I stand on the issue. Yeah, I'm Mises Caucus. I've openly admitted that, but there is definitely portions of the leadership that need to be ousted, and I think I've made it pretty clear where I stand on Andrew specifically.
God.
What is the Mises Caucus? My understanding of Mises is it's a sort of a right-leaning version of a libertarian. Is that true?
So the Mises Caucus, their entire mission statement is centered around putting a heavy focus on property rights. Like, they're very Rothbardian based faction, and then the second part of that is they've put their plan anyways is to put more emphasis on libertarianism as a philosophy as opposed to necessarily the party. So to them, the party isn't paramount. If they don't like the direction the party is going in, they will absolutely throw their support elsewhere. They do put a heavy emphasis on trying to run more localized candidates. They don't necessarily care. To them, the larger elections, like the statewide and federal elections, should be used for as like what they believe the original intent of the party was, which was to basically be a platform for educational purposes, which is why they put somebody like Rechtenwald up, who's more of an academia person as opposed to, I mean, there's other reasons why they put Rechtenwald up, but that's why they turned to him after Dave Smith decided not to run, is because to them, the presidential race should be treated as like a way to convert people to libertarianism as opposed to trying to kiss their ass for votes, is kind of how they look at it.
I have a question for you, Bryce. Since you're in Mises Caucus, did you know about the plan to start a media company based on Rechtenwald's presidential campaign, which didn't come to fruition?
I was vaguely aware of that. I wasn't heavily in tune with that specific thing. I was aware that there was grumblings about it. I didn't know if it was like confirmed or not.
Yeah, I just wonder because it was on Twitter, which is my main social media these days. Everybody knew about that, and it wasn't a big secret. And really, I am not Mises anymore, so I didn't hear about it until I think right before. But
there's things that I, even as a Mises member, that I'm not aware of. Like, I was completely unaware that our LPWI chair was going to put us in Region 1 until he told us on the 20th. So there's some things that slip through the cracks. And like I just said, the LPWI Region 1 stuff was among that.
Yeah, like, so the thing I knew about the media company thing, and I thought that that was an incredibly bad idea, especially since the branding that they were going with was like, it was literally just a different fucking like spin on an existing URL that's overwhelmingly popularized by like Nazis and white nationalists. So I was like, maybe don't have that as your branding. Like, I can't even remember what the branding was, but I remember I already knew what that branding was, and that's like, don't do that. Have different branding at the very fucking least. And they just didn't fucking care. It was a disaster.
So it's interesting, Bryce, when you were talking about how Mrs. Caucus thinks about the mission, and I'm paraphrasing here, as not being necessarily tied to the LP, right? So if the LP isn't the right vehicle, they can pack their stuff and move along at any time. And it's interesting because when Andrew joined the party, and we used to talk about, you know, the rumblings of the takeover pre-Reno, and I'd critique him, and I was like, you know, the messaging sucks, and, you know, when you're telling people you're going to take over and, you know, decentralized what? I mean, this is what we're doing. We are running local candidates. We've been doing this. We've been doing that. We've got activists. We've got, you know, the prags. We got the administrators. We've got all of that. And we've tried so many different things over 50 years. But in Michigan, we are doing all of that. I don't know why we have to have this takeover. At this point, you know, he'd been my vice chair for a year and a half. I'm like, we've been working together for a year and a half doing the damn thing. We all ran for county commission in Wayne County. You know, some of us were actually running it, some of us were just on paper. But the idea that, I think it just offends me so much that you came in, you know, with this message, you were putting people off essentially to take over, to do what we've been doing. And the whole, and again, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying, the whole thing is, when we're done with the LP, we're just gonna, you know, discard it. And look at what happened in Michigan. And it's like, right now, if they walk away, Michigan is toasted. It's been fractured. It's been destroyed. It has to be rebuilt. So, you know, that's what really irritates me about the whole thing.
Okay, so actually you did kind of mishear me a little bit. I did say that to them the party's not paramount. I didn't say that they were planning on jumping ship, but like, what I mean by that is, if they don't feel that a candidate, hype, for example, I think we all know one that they plan to not support, is not in line with their vision of what they want, they won't support that candidate. Or if somebody LP that they don't like what that person's vision is, they're not going to support that person. As far as the whole takeover messaging, yes, I understand why that would rub people the wrong way. I think the reason they came in with such aggressive messaging in regards to that kind of goes back. You got to put yourself back in that moment, right? The Cato Institute had ran the party at that point pretty consistently since the late 70s, and they were doing a lot of shit towards some people that a lot of the Mises Caucus people cared a lot about that rubbed them the wrong way. And a combination of that and the fact that the Cato Institute had kind of ran this party into the ground, so to speak, with the final straw being the Gary Johnson Bill Weld campaign. I mean, even you agreed to this. The Cato Institute needed to be ousted.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I'm an anarchist, but you know, there's a secret little part of me that's super pragmatic when we talk about the party, because you know, I have this vision of the party is supposed to do party things, and I want the most boring wog in the seat. them controlling the messaging or the direction necessarily. I just want them to facilitate it for the rest of us. But yeah, yeah, the Sarwark era ended badly.
Yeah, and that's kind of where that specific messaging comes from. But yeah, no, I absolutely was not implying that the Mises Caucus plans to abandon the Libertarian Party. What I was saying was that they're not necessarily going to throw their support behind a candidate if they don't think that candidate has their vision in mind.
One could say regarding the Nicholas Sarwark era that push came to shove. You know, you know. So, well, they did sort of fracture a little. Like, in the beginning, I still remember very clearly, like, maybe, you know, most of a year in, fucking Pete Quinones and a bunch of, like, the actual person, the guy behind the Mises Institute itself, getting together and being like, we're going to start the GOP Mises Caucus, actually. And that GOP Mises Caucus went nowhere. And it represented sort of them being like, you're not representing our interests. You're, like, being too lefty accepting. You're being too, you know, you're accepting too much of the progressive messaging. So we're just going to form the GOP Mises Caucus because we're pragmatic and we want to get Mises candidates into the GOP. That didn't work. So clearly it's like not a successful fracture, but there was like that sentiment of, if we don't get to play exactly how we want, we're taking our toys and going home. There was a certain amount of that, as I'm sure you'll accept.
I mean, yeah, obviously the GOP Mises Caucus
yeah,
that was dead on arrival, and yeah, that I will concede that to an extent that did happen. I do not think that the wider Mises Caucus faction would take that route, but obviously, yes, there was that absolute disaster piece of an experiment trying to take over at least a portion of the GOP.
Yeah. And then, of course, the fucking disaster surrounding the Rage Against the War Machine rally and its chosen affiliations. And the fact that, like, it was really hard to get anything done there, and they were, like, you know, clawing for relevance. And that relevance that they clawed for ended with a significant amount of animosity between them and even other Mises Caucus members, like the vice chair quitting, you know? Like, just, like, it's been a shit show. I'm not gonna say that it's been entirely bad, and that everything involving the Mises Caucus is just like, bad. I'm not on a demonization kick, but what I am gonna say is, the vast majority of it is, bad, as far as I can see. Maybe the other less chattered on, like, fucking, like, affiliates / delegates / whatever can start stepping up more so that they become the more prominent figures and, like, we can get some action up in this bitch. But, like, that's my impression, you know?
And even as I alluded to, like, pre-stream, the LPWI chair is a Mises Caucus person. Like, officially, he's not, but, like, yeah, he still is very much. The chair is a Mises Caucus person. Like, officially, he's not, but,
yeah, we got an echo coming from, I think, Stephanie? We just mute our mics when we're not talking. Hello, Stephanie.
Here, hold on.
Anyways,
yeah, go for it.
With exception,
are we on there?
To I believe so. with exception to the Region 1 stuff, like, things were going fine in Wisconsin. We do not have the drama that's going on in, say, Michigan, for example.
For sure.
And again, the thing is the personality. We've got Andrew Chatterton in Michigan.
And he can't win an election.
Yeah. And he can't stand to be reminded of that.
Yeah. It seems like he has a hard time standing at all. Stephanie, you are here now. Say words about who you are and your take on Dana and the situation in general. I sent you an invite late because I didn't see your message until somewhat recently, but said you've been watching the stream, so you can say some words. There's a delay on the line though, so I'm assuming that it's just taking a bit for you to hear the sentence I just said. Oh, Stephanie is now a guest user as well. Hello. I'll kick the other Stephanie and introduce yourself. Let us know what you were wordsing. Stephanie.
Quiet your thing down.
Huh?
There you go, buddy. Are we on there?
Should be.
Hello.
Hello. Feel free to introduce yourself and let us know what you think of the stream so far, like Dana, etc.
Yeah, a member of the Libertarian Party in Michigan. I guess you could kind of say that. Been through this for like the last 2 years, so.
Describe that.
Totally support Dana and think she's a great asset to the state party.
Describe the last 2 years you've been through.
Let's see. Well, let's start. We voted twice to vote dumbass, and we've got overturned both times by him. The last time was down in
Flint.
Flint.
Just recently.
We all voted him out. We put the old board back in, which would have been Mike Saliba and stuff. And before it was all said and done, and me and my missus was the delegates, part of the delegates there voting. And he's the only one. They said no filming or anything, and he's holding the phone up, recording everything.
Why am I not surprised?
Rules only apply to us and not him.
And I told Mike, I said, I just ought to walk up and just punch him right dead in the face because he acts just like a little baby throwing the Tetris at him.
That's the impression I got watching the streams. I got the distinct impression that if it wasn't his way, that significant tantrums would be thrown until things were his way. And I think that's fucking hilarious.
The last meeting I was at where I was
about to say blah blah blah. Yeah, that's January.
Yeah, we had a drinking game every time he ruled something out of order.
Yo, okay. So add these to your drinking game for alcohol poisoning. Add dilatory and add fucking not well taken. Those three, you'll just black out like a third through, and then you won't have to sit through the meeting.
Oh, hold it. You ain't got to the best part, muting somebody.
Yeah, but like if you did that, you might as well just chug the fifth at the start. But so
and then sit through his 3.5 hour meetings while you're drinking.
Yeah,
I mean it makes things a lot more enjoyable, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm glad in some ways that I came in on this late because I fucking hated the hour that I was there for the meeting in real time. And I was there for that last hour in real time watching Dana get fucked off. And I hated that. And I have also hated watching multiple others of these on 3.25x. You know, and that's still not
No,
fast enough.
here's something you don't know. Dana's up in the Upper Peninsula. She's the only board member from the Upper Peninsula.
Ah, yeah, the largest
Up in
district,
the
right?
northern part of our state.
The largest,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Mileage wise.
mileage-wise,
Yeah, like, so they want to oust the person who's actually elected and who actually covered the mileage for election.
yeah.
And does an enormous amount of work up there.
So it's like, it's hilarious to me that they want to say that this is about libertarianism because, motherfucker, the demand is there for her, not you.
Yeah.
You want to say that
Yeah.
you're like a libertarian? Get some demand side economics up in this bitch. Shut the fuck up. Anyway.
Well, the question we had was basically we voted for nothing because we went down there and our votes didn't count for nothing twice.
Yeah. Like, if they want to
It's kind of like a
go.
slap in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if they want to disenfranchise people, this is the route to take. If they want to make people, like, hate the idea of politics, think that there is no real alternative to the duopoly, think that there is no way to get politics to work for liberty, hey, great! You're doing a great job!
Yeah, he sure is.
Fucking awesome.
If I had time, I'd make a little trip down Detroit.
Yeah, and there, by the way, I don't know when, but there will be a links in the description, and if any of you want to help with this, just getting me the emails of all the people who voted to get Dana off the board, emails and names, so that I can create a draft email campaign that people can bash these people over the digital head with. Not physical though. I would never endorse violence. I'm the picture of calmness. And like, if anybody wants to do that, the link will be in the yeah, right. The link will be in the description at some point soon. Because, like, basically part of the goal of this stream is to literally turn it into a call to action, sort of an activist call. I want this to be, like, sort of a thing that we can use to say that they don't give a fuck about liberty or representation or jack fucking shit. They don't care about Misesian ideals. So, that's my goal with this. I want to email people. I want to email people in, like, the LPMI who fucking, like, endorsed this shit, and I also want to, like, mail people. I also want to mail people.
For a second.
Go for it.
The only thing Andrew's about is Andrew, and you can ask everybody that's on here. That's all that Andrew's about is himself.
That's what I was gonna say too. It's not the Mises caucus; it's the me caucus.
Right. But, like, if people annoyed these people and made it clear that they weren't going to that they weren't going to be represented by these people anymore, that would send a clear enough message that because here's the thing, I'm an anarchist asshole. I don't even believe elections are that, like, legitimate. I think that there's a lot of this stuff that is rigged. But at the same time, if you did want to convince people that elections mattered, maybe a good way to do that would be to not remove the person who actually got elected to her position. And if these people want to do the opposite of that, if these people want to convince people that voting doesn't matter, then they can do that. But if voting does matter, if my cynical, jaded asshole heart is wrong and voting does matter, then this would send a strong message if, like, for instance, thousands of people battered their email inboxes with "don't fucking do this, and if you do, we will never support you." That would be excellent. I think that would be fucking based as fuck, in fact.
Well, I will say, I mean, we've stated this in other spaces, different conversations, but I mean, we've got 70% of the Michigan members, those that show up at conventions, those that show up at the state conventions, that don't support Andrew. They you know, Karen Ann Harlows was talking about all these haters. Well, Michael Heist too. All these haters take their ball and go home, and nobody's giving the National Party money. But this is true in Michigan. Like 70% of the members were like, "Oh, so we are disenfranchised. You're not representing us. You don't want to hear what we have to say. You don't care about our issues. You're disaffiliating. You're censoring. You're removing. Okay, we're not going to give you money." And we've had almost 2 years where members did not give the state party money. And of course, we're all haters and all of that.
The rogue board.
But, I mean, we literally are voting with our dollars here. But they don't care. They've got control, and now they've got a region rep, and it's all good.
But you didn't vote with your dollars the way I wanted you to.
Right.
And we're scum.
So
We get blocked.
go.
We get muted.
We get blocked and muted.
Yeah, like full disclosure, I've still been
Or
loosely
in a lawsuit.
go. Sorry, yeah. I think my internet fucked up.
And like 4 of them have gotten their membership suspended.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm the one. I've been on like every lawsuit, I've got my membership suspended. And it's like, if there's some negative action, I'm in on it. He's coming for me hard.
Yeah, like
Who was it?
full
Hey, Angie.
go.
You can handle it.
I can. They were talking earlier about how, before you guys got here, about how this really makes you feel like things you want to do to them. And I really reflect on that a lot lately, how different I am because they are doing all these things rather than just admit that Andrew can't win an election. They're suing 8 of us because we can raise money and they can't, basically, is what the gist of this lawsuit is.
And you have to support a membership, and he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, if we didn't have this, I mean, it all ties together. If we have the support of the membership, we wouldn't be able to raise money. That's kind of hand in hand, and they don't want to hear that. If we didn't exist, then they would be able to raise money, is what they think. But don't think that's the case. There was also, but back to me, because that's what I want to talk about. It totally gets in your head. You find yourself thinking about, well, gosh, I just wish this person would go away. I don't, if you look back at my posts from before all this started, I was always the one that was like, well, we don't need people to leave the party. We're too small as it is. We need more people to come into the party. And now I'm like, I wish these people would just take their ball and go home. I'm tired of fighting with them. We can't get anything done. And it's not, and I'm sorry, Bryce, it's not all Mises. I came from Mises. I had friends that were Mises. This all happened as soon as Andrew lost an election. That's when it split. And having said that, I was really wondering if Forrest, who is Stephanie's husband, was going to punch Connor at the convention because Connor had said some terrible things, just blatantly rude about Stephanie. And I thought,
I
oh
was
no.
going to, but they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, it's probably best that they didn't, especially when that recording thing happened. What they brought up there was in executive session when they were voting to restore our memberships. We were not in the room, so I'm hearing all this secondhand. But there was no recording. But Andrew turned on his cell phone. When he
was holding it up in the air, and I said something about it.
And
Yep,
Brandon, the Warsbot came over and blocked him.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that. So the chair told him not to record, and Andrew, the chair of the convention, told Andrew not to record. Andrew refused to yield, and the chair let him get away with it. When we came back in, there were words exchanged about the recording being recorded, and Connor took the phone and held it up, and I mean, it was just his body language was like, come and take it. He wanted a fight. And I was really glad that nobody took him up on that, because that was the last thing we needed, was a physical altercation.
Yeah, but if it hit Connor, there wouldn't have been no fight. It'd been him going to the hospital.
Wow.
So,
That's just really wild.
We all have the things that we would like to do.
full
And
disclosure.
to give you an idea what he said about my wife, tell him, honey. Tell him what he said.
Well, their magic word is retard. They'll call anybody and everyone a retard. He did that to me on 2 separate occasions. But more personally, he called me a whiny cunt. I hope I can say that.
Oh, you can.
and
Yeah.
You can.
Not bleeped out.
This is a free speech zone.
Yeah.
But he, honestly, though, and it wasn't the fact that he said it, but it was totally uncalled for. She wasn't egging him on. It wasn't in the middle of a big argument they were having. She just made this random remark on Facebook, and Connor shows up out of nowhere and says, "Why do you have to be such an insufferable?" Or I forget exactly what it was, but it was absolutely. It just floored everybody that he thought it was appropriate to talk
I'm
about
such
anybody like that.
a person.
But the thing that pissed me off, if that was your wife or something of yours, how pissed would you have been, dude?
Yeah.
Would you
He's not
stand there and let some dickhead call your wife that, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, all right. So, just generally, full disclosure, I've still, like, I'm the asshole chucking rocks from the sidelines. I've still been loosely affiliated with shit, and like I didn't mind maybe some of the original messaging of the Mises Caucus, but then I just sort of watched it down. And one of the like key defining moments of me just saying fuck this shit entirely, was like the fucking Javier Milei shit, where like the official like Libertarian Party accounts and Mises Caucus accounts and all these accounts were fucking like supporting a foreign president. It's like, don't do that. And then literally just being dishonest about his policies or fetishizing certain statements he made that are incongruous with his policies once he got in and the policies on his platform, which none of these punk ass little bitches read. And so when it came down to it, I started to make a long series of critical posts about Javier Milei. And I was in the Mises Caucus Facebook group. I was a very active member, generally well received, until I started shit like that. And then, when I criticized this foreign president, who then later became a foreign pro-war president on the side of funding Ukraine and Israel and shit like that, and, wanting to join NATO and all this other shit that he wanted to do, suddenly, I'm blocked on Twitter, blocked on Facebook, banned from the Facebook group, because I criticized a foreign pro-war president, and you want to tell me your caucus is anti-war, anti-imperialism, economically libertarian? No, the fuck it ain't. You just don't like leftists, and you will take anything you can get, even abject tyranny. So that's when I really started to just
it's
be
funny
like,
you say that, and look who's doing it now, Biden.
and look at how like Javier Milei is literally on task forces with Biden about supporting Ukraine and meeting with Janet Yellen about like integrating the American economy. And it's like, shut the fuck up about any of this. If you're Ron Paul libertarians and you want to end the Fed, do not support a foreign president who wants to link his government to the Fed, making it stronger. Shut the fuck up. It's hilarious.
Hey, Jamie, did anybody tell him how Andrew got the chair in the first place?
They were just talking about it before we got in.
Oh,
That he was not elected.
yeah, well, we didn't vote for him to be put in that chair. He just took it.
Yep. Yeah, so in general, what like because the primary thrust of this stream is Dana. What has your experience been with Dana, the Dunn couple? And also, Jamie,
That's why Andrew wants her out of there, because she argues with him on everything, and he doesn't like it.
for sure.
And Dana, right?
Jamie, you want to say some words real quick?
Yeah. Can you restate the question?
Oh, just how feeling about Dana, like in general.
So, yeah, originally when I first came into the party in 2018, and convention, and there was a conflict between Dana and another of the delegates, I think actually an affiliate chair up in the UP or Northern Michigan. So that was my first experience with her. She's never been afraid to speak her piece. But I will say that while I did not dislike Dana and I weren't particularly close. We didn't work together. Again, distance, location of the affiliates, and an opportunity. But I will tell you that since Andrew started targeting her, and we've been watching the videos again suddenly, because again, we totally disengaged. I mean, we do our own thing. We totally ignore Andrew. But we started watching the meetings again when we found out that they were targeting Dana. And I've taken the opportunity to really get to know her. And Jay and others have said this. She is genuine as fuck. I mean, she is one of the most genuine people I know. Maybe she's not always right. None of us are, but she is always going to speak her piece. She's going to speak up for what she sees as right. And it's not just in her case, it's for others. She'll speak up in defense of others. And I totally respect that. She might be crass, but I mean, it's just because she is so passionate. And we need more Danas in the world.
So, the general sentiment appears to be that Dana, isn't always easy to get along with from the people who would want to, sort of strip liberty. Because, that seems to be the general consensus, is that as long as you're not trying to, fuck with people, she's probably not going to do too much against you.
I think that's probably a fair assessment. My experience with Dana was a little bit different when when she and I got to know each other was when the board was split back in April of last year. There were two conventions. There was the one in Lansing that had most of the people there, and then there was Andrew's little convention that had 30 people there. Yeah, the pizza party, they call that.
35.
So
35 people.
She was involved in that, and so obviously we were on different sides of the issues. She legitimately believed that Andrew was the chair and that no shenanigans, and that we were wrong. And so as we crossed paths on Facebook, had some words, but I, just generally not going to argue endlessly on that with her, especially in her group. That's just rude to go to somebody's Facebook group and trash them totally. So I actually left the group for a while because I didn't want to be disruptive. I just, it's just better for me not to hang out there. And,
might also be better for your mental health.
Yeah. Now, Jay's told me one time my shoulders are pretty broad. I can take a lot, but I have to be careful not to get hyper focused or start. If I find myself certain people bring this out. Like if that they get under my skin. If they can't say anything without me finding something wrong with it, then I know it's time for me to walk away. That's a me problem. Yeah. So I just kind of avoided interacting with her, not because I didn't like her, because I really thought that I would like her, because she's my people. She's like this biker bitch, and she's brutal, and she's honest, and she's an activist, and she does this stuff. But it's just like, eventually after the party gets back together, I just don't want to make this big thing that can't be healed, which just, she doesn't know half of what we're doing. She doesn't, I'm just not going to focus on it. Well, then she started trying to get a petition at some point to get Andrew out, which led to the first time that he tried to remove her. And she was having trouble getting enough signatures. So we have a list that we've cobbled together from people's emails, over the years and such, that we use to communicate with our members. And she was having trouble getting signatures. So I took a chance. I reached out on Facebook and said, hey, can we talk? And offered to help her with her petition. And to her credit, she said yes. Would have been, I did not know what to expect. It would have been really easy for her to say, I would rather die than talk to you guys. But she didn't say that. She said, yeah. So to me, at the time, I just thought, this means that there's hope for the party. If some of us can at least talk to each other, then this eventually can be healed. We can get back together. Maybe not all of us will stay in the party at the end of all of it. But I mean, I do see a path forward. Maybe I'm the eternal optimist. I don't know. But Andrew doesn't want me in the party. So, that may be a thing. If he ends up being chair for life, then, obviously he will make it so that I can't be a member of the party. But if we actually ever do manage to vote him out of office and he actually does leave, then it'll be really nice to get back to work together. And don't, the people who have been fed all these half-truths and open lies about the kind of people we are. And that's one thing that Mises does, and I think they do this kind of across the board. They create this echo chamber, and you mentioned it when you said you were kicked out of the Facebook group for disagreeing with one issue. With one issue, that's it. You're out of the club. We don't talk to you. You don't talk to us. And that's the way it seems to be across the board. If you disagree with the party or the caucus on anything, you're excommunicated.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and
they set this echo chamber up, and they start thinking that they're way more popular than they are.
And you're gonna laugh when I tell you how that went down, because they just kept rejecting my posts and rejecting my posts. And if it was not about Javier Milei, it might get accepted, unless it was also supporting trans people. But that's another issue. The majority of the posts that got rejected, I think it was something like 30 or 40 posts that got rejected from their group were Milei posts. And I just kept on kneeling. I kept on and they kept on just like it was like an arcade game for them. Like another Jeremiah anti-Milei post came up. We don't care how factual it is. We don't care about what discussion it could spur. Boop. And so what I did is I shot a whole YouTube video, and I disguised it as a video against Biden. And I called it, Biden Did What to Our Money? And it was a video about what Javier Milei did to the Argentinian currency, and what Javier Milei was doing other than the Argentinian currency. And in the background of the thumbnail, like some of y'all got to see my creative process for building my mentally ill thumbnails. In the background of the thumbnail with Biden and an evil look on his face and all blah, blah, there's like a faint Argentinian flag. So anybody actually paying attention, like, and not just adminning based on whims, like, would know that something was up. But that one made it through. And a little bit later I was banned. It's like I had to say it was about Biden for them to even let it come in there, and then they're like, man, he got us, damn it, fuck, We gotta get him out of here. Never again. So that's my experience.
Yeah, in Michigan, we had this Discord server again right before everything blew up, and we were all in it. We were all talking, and we could talk about our favorite philosophers, our favorite thinkers. We could have some heated debates on that, and that was fine until, and that had to stop too, until we started getting critical of Andrew or Connor, and then it became, this has to be all kumbaya or you're all getting the fuck out. And eventually they couldn't get us out. Eventually they just all went to different spaces and left us in an echo chamber, which is, to me, disappointing, because again, it split along caucus lines, and I still have friends in the caucus in Michigan and outside of Michigan, and I have to find and talk to them in other spaces. We can't all be together, and it's crazy because up until the split, we had a mixed board. We all worked together. We got through campaigns and supported candidates, and we showed up at events together. I mean, even after the split, Andrew came to our picnic that we threw. He just showed up and brought cookies.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking hilarious. I think he was there, just to see if we had the trademark displayed anywhere. But it's just crazy how it just seems to be this challenge to leadership, right? You can challenge lay members all you want. You can have good debate, but as soon as you attack the dogma that the leader wants to spread, that's when you're person non grata, and it's got to stop and you've got to go.
Well, that's the thing. To me, it really tips their hand when they're like this, because, and I cannot stress this enough, intellectual property is fake, and supporting it isn't a libertarian position. And if it was truly about electoral rights, then they wouldn't have made it about trademark infringement. They would make it about electoral rights. Suck my asshole, Andrew. So that's my take.
Amen.
And he's muted.
Yeah, the irony when we were looking at the bylaws report for national and seeing the IP plank, the proposed IP plank, it was like, oh, does that mean they're gonna drop the fucking suit? Yeah.
Nah, clearly not.
Yeah, they're just trolling us, I think.
Yeah. And so it's just painful just watching the anti-libertarian people take over the Libertarian Party to make it libertarian again. No. Fuck no.
Not libertarian. Not libertarian.
Maybe okay, I'm willing to grant, for the temporary sake of, not completely alienating folks, right? I'm willing to grant that at the start of the Mises Caucus, the vast majority of the people interested in the Mises Caucus were at least proximally interested in restoring some libertarianism that had been fucked off from the fucking shit. But ain't. Not anymore. The state of being verb has changed to ain't. So, that be the words that I can say about that. So, since we're basically in accord with regards to the things that were said about Dana, let's get to some chat comments here, and we'll see if we can address some things that were said here. Patriot Eek, longtime supporter, hope you're doing reasonably okay. Says the system is designed the way it is to make sure fixing it from within is impossible. And after what happened to Ron Paul, why is anyone bothering? We're both mutually cynical.
Like an addict. It's an addiction.
Yeah. We're both mutually sort of cynical asshole party. We're just chucking rocks. We're very much rock chuckers. But he's also been in the thick of quite a bit of corruption, to say the least, in various circles of libertarianism. So he's got his own reasons to be bitter that are very realistic and reasonable. So, but yeah, what keeps y'all strung along? Other than Angela, I think, said an addiction. I don't know who said that, but
I mean, I'll go first. Stubbornness.
fair.
I am that asshole that will beat my head into a fucking brick wall repeatedly, knowing it's a losing battle, because I am just that stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can say that there's a little bit of that for me as well. I don't like giving up on things that I find worthy, and maybe the LP itself isn't worthy, but there's so many great activists and even candidates. Even being an anarchist, it is weird being in a political party, but I see so many people focused on important issues, and I don't want that to go away, because I'm not sure there's much left.
So you think that this
where we
is
can,
like a vehicle? It's like still the most effective vehicle.
for building networks and in some kind of, decentralized community. It is a great place to do some of that work with others.
Well, hey, I mean, vehicles are vehicles. Like, and if y'all wanna have a really bad time, listen to ELP's album "I'll Sleep When You're Dead," and the song "Drive" applies here. I'll say that.
Ah,
We've got 3 J Gelots, so I'm gonna.
No, I fucking keep losing myself and coming back, guys.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm schizoaffective.
No,
I get
no.
it.
I'm just a stupid old fuck when it comes to shit. Jamie knows.
Yeah, but
She has to continuously send me
links.
send me reminders and shit. So
yeah, well, you can't see it, but the voices in my head are very loud. So
okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. So the vehicle thing. Generally speaking, in what way do you think the vehicle needs maintenance? Proverbially, like, we can all just briefly chat about that.
well, again, it's like, because I don't know if I like this analogy per se, because you tend to either have skills where you can work on your own vehicle, you take it to a mechanic, but I don't like that analogy here, because what is the LP need? I mean, it needs to let the members free. It makes sense. I mean, decentralize the LP, like literally decentralize, so we can do our damn thing.
Yeah, like, it was hilarious to me.
Another thing is,
Go.
some of our members have been in the party for decades, and I mean decades.
That'd be me.
And they have a vested interest in keeping this party alive. And I totally get it. I've only been around since like 2021-ish. So I'm pretty new. I don't really have a vested interest. But I would like to support my party members.
Yeah.
Because I have made some incredible friends, and there's so much amazing talent in the party in Michigan that I just hate to see this happen to them.
Yeah. Especially since they put in the work. Carl.
Yeah, the system. I'm here as a libertarian. I guess the system is very corrupt. It's racist. It's got crimes against humanity. focus on both parties, the Democrats and Republicans, which are basically the same, one and the same. There's not a difference between the two anymore. One is pro-gun and one is pro-baby killing, but they both don't work. They work for the same causes. So the only way for change, the easiest way for change, is to get libertarianism to catch on. Whether or not it'll ever happen, I don't know. But something's got to change.
I'm assuming similar sentiment exists, although I will say both the parties of the duopoly are anti-gun, and it's always fun to bring up the fact that the Republicans and the NRA were behind some of the most significant gun control legislation because they don't like black people. So, you know.
Yeah, it's all aimed at putting the black people.
Yeah.
It's aimed at putting the black population in prison and disassembling the black families, which is a tragedy, and it's a crime against humanity right there.
Yeah, like Reagan being over here like, I don't see any reason why any average American would need to carry a handgun. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Eat shit, Ronnie.
Yeah. Bye, Ronnie. You're dead.
1968 was when the first Gun Control Act was passed. Funny, same fucking time as the Black Panthers.
Yeah.
They scared the fuck out of the white people. Scared the white people so much they passed a law, and it was not for any other reason but that.
Funny.
Everybody did.
Oh, it's like the crack laws.
They were scared to death.
After
Let's
the
pass a law, let's take the guns out of black people's hands. They may rise up and kill us.
after
But
the
I'm the only one with a perspective on that, I guess. So,
well, like I share that perspective. Like the
older.
like I've been vocally a supporter of the Black Panther Party, and I I've posted repeatedly Huey Newton and Malcolm X quotes where people did not like them. In fact, one of the places that I posted those quotes was the Fakertarians group, and let's just say there's now a rule specifically about me in that group. Where we can silence you and censor any information we want. So it's like fucking it's called the Jeremy Harding rule. Literally, you can go to their Facebook group and see that. Fucking anyway, the point is,
I don't know why.
Huh?
I don't know why our party doesn't reach out more to minority candidates and or youth. You know, we don't really have a youth movement, or because we're the candidate of the oppressed, or we're the party of the oppressed, I should say. So I don't know why we're not doing more on the party level to attract a diverse pool of candidates and members.
Because in the end run of it, for a lot of these people, it's about money and numbers, and they would rather go with rich populists than poor minorities.
I just wanted to put out there, I'm in Wayne County, which is the county that has Detroit in it, and it's hilarious how often I have proposed to move our meetings into the city, which, is being gentrified, but moving into the city so that we can do direct outreach.
Be well, Bryce.
See you, Bryce.
Thanks for showing up. Good luck in Wisconsin.
Yes, I signed. And the best that Andrew has ever done is to wear a Maj t-shirt at a gun rally with his belly hanging out, and I'm just like, yeah, that's just gonna do it. That's outreach right there. Good job.
Yeah, right. All right, so to move forward, Reinhold says good vibes to Dennis Reinhold says good vibes to the MI Libertarians that are being absolutely screwed over. The LNC has their back, the Mises Caucus, so they feel strong enough. 3 times now, the vast majority of Michigan Libertarians have made it clear that they want him gone. The MC doesn't care about what they want.
That's true.
That is true.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Does the MC know? And do they know what's going on in Michigan?
Oh yeah, they're the driving force behind it.
Sometimes some of the leadership might know, but the more I'm finding that many of the Mises Caucus members aren't informed of the actual inner workings. when I start talking about some of the stuff that I have screenshots of or evidence of, or like posted that meeting that I was at, recently watching Dana get the shaft, like they were like, "Holy shit, is this how it always is?" And then they're told by the people who were there that, yeah, pretty fucking much. So it's like, I think they're kept in the dark quite a bit, and they're just told that these people are irrational cunts and don't listen to them.
Yeah, that's very true. That's why they keep them in their echo chamber.
We're portrayed as a small minority, a few troublesome people like causing trouble, where the majority of the party is against Chatterton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angie called it. Yeah, it's because of the echo chamber, and there's that narrative that we're all the fraudsters and the haters, and we're out to destroy the party. Yet we've had governor candidates, state chairs, state level candidates, members that have been in the party for decades, as Stephanie stated. I mean, these are the members that are the losers and fraudsters trying to destroy the party. We don't recognize the party as it is now.
I'm sorry. Your comments are dilatory and not well taken. Out of order.
You need to mute her. She has to be muted, otherwise she might say the F word.
Yeah. Profanity is only okay if you say it through like 18 layers of supersize. With that, Orthodox Moore says, it's becoming obvious that some are working to make the party smaller, with an extremely narrow spectrum of what should be considered libertarian. The Mises Caucus leaders have stated that their purpose was to take over the LP to take control of the word libertarian. They say they're Ron Paulians is assuming what he meant to say, but actually idolize Hoppe and physical removal. That's an accurate statement with a lot of these people.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame that they're conflated because, like, Hoppe's affiliation with the Mises Institute, which the Institute so often just fucking does not respect the actual namesake. Like, and so the caucus that's supposed to be modeled after the Institute would obviously be further removed. It's sort of like decay from the original principle of Misesianism to be less Misesian at an Institute level, and then even less Misesian at the caucus level, and then even less Misesian at the GOP Mises caucus level. And it's just like, it just keeps on decaying. It's like radioactivity.
All right, I'm not sure why I'm showing JA, but here's the thing: not everybody is this way, but there are always people in groups that listen. This party has been a party of principle for a long time, with pretty weird shit going back and forth, obviously, at times that irritate all of us. I voted for Gary Johnson and wish I hadn't, but I was fine with Joe Jorgensen. But I will tell you that when you stop viewing the party as a party of principle and view it as a vehicle of achieving power, then you change what we are and you change who wants to be involved, and that dynamic brings in the wrong kind of people. And maybe those are the kind of people who actually did the changing in themselves. That's kind of where the party is. We used to advertise being the party of principle. This is a party that wants to be, quote, relevant, which means byword power, I guess.
Fucking hate that word so much.
I do too. So I worry about that. And Bryce, I guess, is gone. I kind of feel bad because I took a shot at the leadership of the Mises Caucus earlier. Listen, I'm an old libertarian. I come from David Friedman. I come from Murray Rothbard. I'm not a big Ron Paul fan anymore, but I got it when he was around. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the accumulation of power to control, in order to affect a result that you've chosen ahead of time, rather than worrying about whether or not it matters to the party members themselves
or the people they're supposed to represent.
I'm sorry.
Or the people they're supposed to represent.
You know, I've said this before about the Mises Caucus. The difference between the Mises Caucus and any other caucus is the Mises Caucus exists independently and separate from the Libertarian Party. It was created outside of the party, and a lot of people came into it. I mean, look, there's a lot of good things the Mises Caucus talks about, but it existed separately from the party, and they came into it. I don't want to call it an invasion, but it was clearly an attempt to take their influence in the group and affect the changes they wanted, which is not a democratic process. When you say takeover, you mean takeover, and that's pretty much what they did. So
Hostilely, if necessary.
Sorry?
Hostilely, if necessary.
Well, yeah.
Takeover.
It's pretty much a means justify the ends kind of a thing. Or the end, sorry about that. Too much weed. The ends justify the means. And that's the biggest problem. Yeah. When you go there, yeah, you can do anything.
Yeah, your means have got to be justifiable for the ends to be justifiable from a principled perspective. It can't be just praggy.
Well, but praggies think their means are praggy. They believe that the problem is there's always your argument to support what you want at the moment. So I mean, I'm probably closer to you than okay, I started off like I said, as a David Friedman kind of person and Rothbard, and I wandered into more of the let's see if we can get something more accomplished area, and it didn't work. So everybody, including me, who thinks that our little foray into a much more centrist approach to our message didn't work, and that's not why I joined the party. So the people who support why Mises came into existence is fine. It's a little bit like Donald Trump. It really is. He didn't create the movement. He just kind of grifted upon it. Yep. And some people in the Mises Caucus, I think, grifted upon an absolutely reasonable and fair assessment that the party was not going where most of us wanted to go.
Yeah, so. Donald Trump really grabbed the Republicans by the pussy. And then he came here and grabbed the Libertarians by the pussy, too. And now it's just very much the same sort of, essay kind of message. I can just take what I want.
Yeah.
But, so, just to be clear, Bryce is good people. But he's also resilient. And if there was something he disagreed with any of you strongly enough on that he thought it was necessary, he would have told you to go fuck yourself. I think he was fine. I think he left on good terms.
Good. I don't want to attack the caucus. I want to criticize, and I want to assess the quality and actions of the people who are in charge.
Right, and just to be clear, he's not in charge, and he agrees that the leadership needs to change, especially over there. Like he says that like he's one of the two people who watched the stream, who both said, if this is how Mises Caucus is elsewhere, I can see why they fucking hate him. I can see why, like, if Andrew Chatterdon and Adrian Malagon and God, it's just so similar names. And Andrew McCardledon are all the same, fucking perception by people, maybe that's why people don't like it, and it's not actually that unreasonable. And he's like, fuck, we got to get rid of Andrew, and people like him now, because that's the way that we can actually maybe salvage the Mises Caucus. That's his opinion. He said that to me personally.
Yeah. And even though they existed outside of and independently and separate from the Libertarian Party, their sole purpose was the Libertarian Party itself. So they may think they can function without a Libertarian Party, but I don't think they can. And I think that's a huge risk they're taking, that they will exist. If something were to happen to our party, my dear party, I voted for 50 years. If something would happen, they're not going to survive either.
Yeah.
So it would be a sad day and a big mistake for them to think that would work.
Yeah. They're gambling on other people's dime. It's fucking pathetic.
Yeah. And I like it when some people have said, well, we should just split the party. There are some in the LP NH, I guess, who says, well, we should just fork. Now, if I use the word fork, you'll know who I'm talking about, probably.
Yeah.
And my thought, motherfucker, you come in for 2 years, and now you want to split the assets of the party. You want to split the goodwill of the party. You want to take half of it. And you didn't earn. The problem is that half, if you had made it grow, it'd be like kind of like a good prenup where you get an increase, and you get a half of the increase and everything. That's fair. It's always fair. But if there ain't no increase, you don't get none, and they want to take half of what the party has. Some people do.
What you're saying is that Jeremy.
You won't have.
So what you're saying is that Jeremy Kaufman and Toad are gold digging whores.
Actually, well, I'm talking about somebody else who is different from that. But I mean, I don't know.
It's the same. It's Pratt. Dennis Pratt.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
he's blocked me from everything because I said that I thought. I'm sorry. I don't know how these streaming things really work, so I'll interrupt until somebody blocks me.
Yeah, go for it.
He said that I wanted to murder Angela McArdle. So I said, okay, not cool, but I said, fuck Donald Trump with a stick, and to follow along with the metaphor we've been having, and the clown who brought him. And so I was accused of wanting to kill Angela McArdle, and I'm kind of a nap person, like we all are. I may be metaphorical, but whatever. He blocked me, and he won't talk to me anymore. And I'm astounded by these kind of right-wing snowflakes.
Yeah, like I thought you guys were supposed to be the anti-sensitives, the ones who trigger the libs. Go fuck off. Yeah.
I even said that to him. I even apologized. I didn't apologize, but I said that's not what I meant. I would never say that about another person. But he grabbed onto that and ran with it.
Right.
So,
well,
I won't be going.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's the thing. Like, there's a subset of these people that said we're in the Mises Caucus because we want, like, better messaging, more radical, more like less sensitive, less centrist, and then these are the same sorts of people that said, "Oh no, you said the fuck word. You're censored in the meeting." It's so fucking aggravatingly pathetic. And like, so generally speaking, I think that the takeaway should be like, if these people truly want to represent anything, then they should do it better by like actually fucking listening to the people rather than just keeping their stupid takeover going. Because if the takeover takes over the will of the people, it's nothing short of tyranny. It's not fucking boosting a libertarian message to say, I don't give a fuck what you mean, your money, your power, and your watch, it's dog shit. And it has been dog shit for a while. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, Ron Paul said, I'm kind of like Jay. Is that Ron Paul is what got me politically active, but I've never been of the mindset that he was absolutely right about everything, and we had to hate everybody that didn't. I wasn't in the cult.
Yeah.
No
I just dogmatism.
think that he had a good platform. Yeah, I think that he had a good platform and he talked a lot about liberty, and that's that was what we needed at that time. And I always will hold a debt of gratitude for him for that. Andrew at one point, like back when I was in the caucus, he was talking about how it was when I was new. Actually, he was explaining what the ground game was. Here's what we're going to do. We think that it's a waste of time to run for these, the high profile offices, even though we kind of need to do that in Michigan, at least because we need it for ballot. But we want to focus on local elections, places where there's it's nonpartisan or there's nobody's on the ballot. And I said, oh, kind of like they were doing in Pennsylvania. And I mean, he was like furious. It's like, no, those people, they didn't really they didn't win those offices. So most of those people that won them didn't show up, and then they all left again. That was just like, to this day, I'm still floored about how they did exactly what he's talking about, but because they came from the other side of what he views as the other side of libertarianism, we can't even acknowledge that some of the techniques they used were viable. And we have this shared common ground. That, you know, that's the whole thing that kills me, is that they don't have any interest at all in finding common ground and using that to build on. You know, if they have good ideas, like, again, this is where I was started out with. Ron Paul said, you can't stop a good idea whose time has come. If their ideas are good, the party will naturally move in their direction. They'll win elections. Their membership will grow. People who hate them would fall away. That's organically how it would look. Obviously, that's not what we have right now. And that, I think, is what a lot of people find frustrating. They don't hate the caucus. A lot of us don't even hate the ideas. They just hate the tyrannical approach that they're using to cram those ideas down our throat.
But those people don't count. Fucking Rose in
the idea of there's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. It was either said by Karl Marx or John Lennon, Nikolai Lenin. So I mean, it's always applied. But I'd like to stick that in there.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because we talked about Reagan earlier. Him and his, like, you know, like, I don't see why any American should need to carry a handgun. Meanwhile, Karl Marx said, under no pretext should the workers be frustrated their use and bearing of arms. And it's like, if Marx is better on gun ownership than your fucking guy, maybe shut the fuck up about how you're so gung-ho about gun rights for you California politician actor guy fucking is your hero. Like, that's one of the hilarious things. And now it's even seeing, Reagan is seeing a resurgence among certain circles, like the classical liberal caucus, and like the fucking people over there being like, oh yeah, you know what? We're going to support the Reagan Foundation, and Reagan is great, and Biden's basically the new Reagan, and Reagan. It's like, fuck Reagan, and fuck you if you like Reagan. Fuck all of those people if Reagan is their guy.
And fuck Nancy too.
Yeah, like, and
right? Fuck Nancy too.
And like,
not really, but yeah.
Yeah, like, because then you'd make more Reagans. But then, like, the whole thing is, like, at this point, we could really fucking use some shit like this. And Rose in comments says, one of the main purposes of the Mises Caucus is to restore the party back to its original purpose as a front for economic, political education, networking, and politics at the local level, with an emphasis on Austrian econ and hardline anti-imperialism. None of the milquetoast, maybe slightly less government shit that had become all too common. So she says that, and that would be great if that's what we, like, got out of the leadership. And so often, it fucking ain't. It would be great, especially now.
See, this is where I get some pushback here, and I'm going to give some pushback.
No problem.
Is that a party, you don't need a political party to do any of those things except for run for office.
Yeah.
Running for office is the only reason a party exists. That's pretty much where my efforts are focused. I don't envision us winning the presidency or a senatorial seat or anything on the federal level. You know, I'm basically aligned with the Mises concept and the Pennsylvania Moulton Maneuver people, where everything is local. All politics is local, and that's where we need to focus. But honestly, people hate this, I'm really not that much into the activism part. I mean, I'll show up at the sign waves and I'll sign the petitions and this and that and the other. But I mean, when Justin Amash was talking to us about that, he pointed out how when he was in office, if the Libertarian Party had come to him and said, you know, we want you to vote this way against the war, here's his petition to do something about the war, he would be like, I wouldn't even know what to do, because that's what the lobbyists do. You know, the party shouldn't be a lobbyist for special interests. That's what PACs do, what special interest groups do.
Right.
So it's kind of like this identity crisis in the party, and I get it. That was what the party was. The party was founded this way. This isn't some new development, but I have reservations about people who want to put running for office at the bottom of this heap, because I personally think it's a very important part of the overall platform, or the overall philosophy, the overall plan. I don't know what word I'm trying to look for here, but I think you see what I'm saying. I don't think that the politics aspect of it is disposable. For me, that's the prime focus.
For sure.
I see what you're saying. I disagree with the people that think libertarians can't win at the national level. And Donald Trump, was a brilliant campaign that he did in 2016. I'm a big fan of it. He proved that anybody could do anything at any time. He, is supposed to be Bush and Clinton part 2. He beat Bush and he beat Clinton as a total outsider that nobody wanted. Not from the Republican elite, and definitely not from the Democrat elite. Now they're all kissing his ass, and not because they love him, but because they fear him, which is funny to watch. But libertarians can win just like anybody else. It just takes one campaign, one spark to catch on. That can be to change everything.
Reinhold says, we had hundreds of locally elected libertarians, far more than we have now that we've been taken over.
I'm going to guess he's from Pennsylvania.
Potentially. And speaking of Pennsylvania, I actually don't remember where Reinhold is from, but Kareem, did you watch the Dana stream?
A little bit.
Yeah, so you saw how corrupt and fucking evil that was? Yeah. Fucking...
Yes, I did. Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, just watching them, bring a woman to tears who's, just asking, hey, could you fucking follow the rules and not, get our elections invalidated by doing illegal shit? So, Kareem, introduce yourself and say your impressions of that.
Give me 1 second.
It's been 1 second. No,
it's really funny. I can always fill that airtime.
Yeah,
no problem.
Vamp.
It is really funny because hearing you guys again, I get to the point of okay, am I making a big deal about? I'm becoming so jaded to it, and I try not to be that person that everybody walks away from because all I want to talk about is Michigan politics, but. It's really, for me, it's really refreshing to see you guys come in here and go, oh yeah, this is bad. This is bad, because we're kind of at the point now where we just take it for granted. This is just the way it is. This is, like I told you, this meeting wasn't really all that bad. There are way worse ones out there. This was just, it's gotten better since he figured out how to use the mute button, because before that he had to deal with more people talking back to him, and he didn't handle that well at all. So anyway, I think our 1 minute or our 1 second timer is up. So
okay. So I'm Kareem from Pennsylvania. I'm part of the Mises caucus, so I'm slowly going the lib left side. I guess a lot of lib sock ideas do appeal to me. As you can see, I have Paul Kumbal, Marie Bookchin. That's what that is. And I've been listening to the Dana stream. Also, I've been kind of, jumping into drama, which I usually don't do, with Jeremy Kaufman and Chase Oliver, and saying hey, look, if you won't go on Tim Pool thing, I'll definitely debate Jeremy Kaufman at any point in time. I have no problem doing that. So that's what I've been doing recently. Also do Anarch Unity with Jeremy, do a lot of podcasting. And yeah, I am based in Pennsylvania. Woo. So that's a quick thing on me.
So, with that being said, we've got we're basically in the respond to chat segment of the stream, because we've basically said most of what we need to. And people can feel free to spam this stream everywhere they are. If you want to get the stream in fucking more places to get more chat comments and me more views, because I also care about that, and I'm not gonna lie. The general thing that we're doing now is responding. So Orthodox Moore says, who I'm not sure, I seem to remember you being one of the legacy viewers of this channel, but also my brain is saying maybe not. I don't know. You can tell me how long you've been following what I do. But either way, he's been in more and more of these chats lately. So, hello. They say we shouldn't run federal candidates when none of them would know who Ron Paul is if he didn't run for Congress or the presidency. The MC is their Hoppian covenant community. If you aren't them, then they feel like they not only have the right, but the duty to use force to remove you from the space they want to occupy. Also, Sarwark is a clown. Seems accurate. And any of you who have anything to say about comments, feel free to words. But Rose says, not true that we're opposed to running candidates. We're just not delusional enough to think they'll actually win. Their purpose is to serve as messengers for the liberty movement. GOP Mises Caucus was basically just Pete Quinones, if I recall correctly, anyway. So.
But I think that that's backwards. I think that the candidate has the message, and it's the party's duty to support the candidate, not vice versa.
Reasonable. So, if that's the only feedback, I can move to the next comments.
Yeah, that's fine. I can argue anything. Go ahead. Next comment. Next argument.
Well, no, I mean, and you're free to say, like, that's the thing. This is a forum. My channel, I get constant comments from people saying, what even is this? Because it's not ideologically homogenous like they're used to. That's not the fucking point of this. The point of this is to give other people a chance to speak. And, like, maybe I'll give my opinion occasionally. But the point of this is so that other people can, like, have their say and, like, be, like, more vocal than they are given the opportunity by other people, proverbially speaking. So, like, that's the whole point of these things. I don't know why we're watching Jay's living room, but hello.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'm an old stupid fuck. I'm gonna figure it out in a second.
You're not
anyway,
you're not
I'm
stupid.
back on is, what?
You're not
Jay have
stupid.
pants on?
No, I'm not stupid. I know that. I'm not. When one is self-deprecating, it's a joke.
Yeah, I got you. We got to stay at least a little, maybe positive.
However, if I wasn't fucking stupid, I would have switched it already. Now, my only point to come on here is to ask a question totally irrelevant. But it's not totally, because we talked earlier about the suit and tie libertarians, the Cato people all living in nice room, huh? The Cato people all living in Washington. This is a culture. This is a nearly a disease. It's an infestation in some ways. How many of you think we should move the libertarians? I hate to agree with the Mises Caucus, but should we move the party headquarters to like Kansas City or Tulsa or someplace in the middle of the country or not? No, I'm trying to figure this shit out from here. Sorry.
I mean, I wouldn't care, but at least it would be like, because the general vibe is that I get that all these meetings are had over Zoom anyway, and they keep on, like, if they used a headquarters, if they used their buildings, if they were better about this shit, maybe I would have an opinion here, but, like, they're fucking renting their office spaces. These people don't know how to maintain books. They don't know how to maintain order in their meetings by following their own fucking rules. I don't care where their building is. They're just going to jack off wherever it is. My take.
While you're looking at the next comment, I just wanted to say thank you, because you guys have had the opportunity to see what Michigan is having to deal with, and this is just one step in preventing the continuous gaslighting that these people are doing. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Then we got
Yeah,
go.
And honestly, back before, and I'll make this quick. Back before, when Tim was chair, but when he quit, this is the main reason that he quit, because when Andrew was on the board with Tim, it was dysfunctional. I mean, the board was fine until Andrew ended up there, and then he has to argue everything. So now that Andrew's in charge, it's even worse. But that was the big reason that Tim stepped down. And the Mises people will tell you it's because of the bigotry plank, and that certainly did play a role. But if you read the letter that Tim gave us, it was because of dysfunction that Andrew brought. That was the bigger focus.
Not only that, but that was the reason why Steve Fox quit.
Yeah.
And his wife, I think, was Jessica.
Yeah, Steve had that thing that what I was talking about with myself earlier. If it gets to the point where I can't hear someone talk without their, getting great on my chalkboard, that was Steve and Andrew. Andrew couldn't say anything without Steve going ballistic.
I will be right back.
They needed some space.
Continue saying words. Vamp for me.
And Steve Fox was Mises Caucus person.
Yeah, there's a lot of ex-Mises people that, Aaron Gardner, it still kills me that we lost Aaron Gardner because he is not crazy. He's well-spoken. He went back to the Republicans and, ran for office, and now he's an officer in the county commission. He was what we need, the party, he's an activist and a candidate, and he was an IT guy, and he just was like this whole package. And he came to us from Mises, but Andrew ruined him. Andrew broke him, so he went back to the GOP.
That's to me bizarre because I have to say this, you don't go from the GOP to the Libertarian Party in some back and forth manner. In some ways, I'm glad I did not get involved with the party. I gave money forever, but I didn't get involved with things going on for a long time. My company did things that I thought were very pro private business, and that was my goal to do that. That was my calling. But the idea that you can say, well, I was thinking about the Libertarian Party, but I'm going to go back the other way, just because I don't like somebody. It's not about people. You don't get involved, but you can't not. If you're a libertarian, you're involved in libertarian.
Yeah, but the GOP recruited him. They came back and because he had a friend that was on the board and it's like, well, there's going to be somebody, this guy's stepping down, and you could probably run as a libertarian, then the GOP won't run anybody there. And then that was like, okay, I'll do that. And then he wanted to run, but he and Andrew were getting along, so it was like, well, hey, why don't you just run as on the GOP ticket? And
they're in power,
so they kind of lured him back in.
They offered him power.
So Rose,
and I get it, but they offered him power. Sorry.
Rose asked for clarification to her comment when she said, "Not true that we're opposed to running candidates. We're just not delusional enough to think they'll actually win. Their purpose is to serve as a messenger for the liberty movement." And then Angela said it's the job to support the candidate, not vice versa. So Rose is saying, who said anything about not supporting the candidate? I think what was meant when Angela said that was that it's the people's job to support the candidate, not the candidate's job to support the movement. And that might be an interesting debate on its own, which should be given primacy in that regard. But I think that's what was being said, if I understand correctly. Like, basically, it should be more like,
absolutely. Yeah, the candidate has to sell his message to the party in order to become the candidate. So but he also has to sell it to the public at large. And if you get, obviously we don't want a candidate who's going to be, a bigot, anti-trans, pro-abortion, or a anti-abortion, all these things that are not libertarian, but if you're going to start picking apart and saying, okay, well, he's 99% libertarian, I agree with it, but that 1%, I'm going to focus on that. Well, you might have to just step back and support the candidate, because he is the one that's ultimately responsible for winning an election. He's the one that is going to make our message, even if he doesn't win, he or she has to make that message more palatable to the general public. The party, the role of the party, and not necessarily the movement, the role of the party is to support their candidates. The candidate has them, and then obviously every now and then you'll get one that you can't support because they're, they've wandered off the plantation too far. But the overall message of someone who is a good candidate. And I think I can say Chase or Gary Johnson. These are good candidates. I don't agree with any of them on every single issue. But as far as having a broad base of appeal, yeah, absolutely. That they both do. And that's what we need.
Yeah, like Ron Paul was the first and last actual human I actually voted for. I wrote him in. And then, the most recent vote that's officially recorded on a Jeremiah Harding ballot is for Sonic the Hedgehog for president, because I was already disenfranchised by that point. So, you're welcome. The next comments, let me just, Christopher Baker is very right-wing. He's been on a few times. He also, I'm not going to poison the well, as it were, but we have had some disagreements. And he says Chase should go on Timcast. Chase is 38 years old. 5 people running for president are over 70. Are you sick of baby boomers ruining everything? Chase is the anti-boomer. I could see that. So even though we disagree, even though he is somewhat right-wing in that regard, he still thinks Chase is a good bet in terms of messaging. So, good to hear.
So I just wanted to comment on the whole Chase Timcast comment. I think our candidate needs to get it on as many platforms as possible.
I can see that.
But the Timcast invitation wasn't to sit down and talk to Chase, and it was
to debate
Chase
Jeremy Caucus.
Right, and who has time for that? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he doesn't need to punch down.
How much alcohol do you have in the house?
Exactly. And it's like Jeremy Kaufman has literally had so little to do that he came to my stream chat in order to insult my guests. And it's like, you had that little to do? I mean, you're that useless? And so, generally speaking, I think he's just one of those people who leeches his way onto certain movements and does not let go even when less than welcome. So it's good that he has decided to leave the Libertarian Party, and I hope he stays fucked off, because he was bad for it for a very long time. I appreciate Elbury. I appreciate what it turned into in terms of Odyssey. Those are 2 pieces of software that I use on a routine basis, and this video will be on Insanity is Free Odyssey channel if y'all want to go follow me over there. Everything I do is automatically backed up to the blockchain thanks to technology partially responsibly created by him. He's a piece of shit though, and recognizing that and recognizing that maybe certain people are just, I mean, if you want to talk dilatory, if you want to talk not well taken, Jeremy Kaufman is both of those in basically every situation, and literally sunk his heels in on so many terrible issues that at this point associating him with the movement at all is a mistake, much less this is 2 libertarians arguing and one of them is the one that we like and will interrupt less, because that's how Timcast debates go. They're basically interrogations where there's good cops, bad cops, and worse cops. And generally speaking, when you have these sorts of situations, what they're designed to do is not to informationally enrich people, is not to spur the intellect of the viewer. It's not to ask important and deep and interesting questions and drive at the heart of philosophies. We don't like the left. Wokes are pieces of shit, and we're going to call anybody we don't like groomers or some other sorts of shit. White replacement is happening. Be very afraid, white right Republicans. We're basically just fucking fascists. That's what Tim Pool is. And that's the reason he works with Jocelyn Glaybach, who still tries to get my video taken down every now and then for privacy violations because I called her Jocelyn. And because she doesn't like when her name is used that she used, and she lies that it's being doxed when I say that. So I say it in order to be funny, but it's not doxing because she literally wrote that in her own article that she shared. And this is the kind of stock of people. People who will send their cults, their stupid little echo chambers, after the other, and their echo chambers will believe whatever obvious lies they're telling, or at least spread them as long as they can be weaponized against the intended target. And that's who Chase is, like, maybe turning down. It's like, maybe that's not the decision I would make. Maybe it is. But at least I understand it, and I want to be, like, good faith about his reasons instead of just saying, well, he just couldn't take it. No, he could. He just probably has better shit to do, like being on John Stossel, which he recently was.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. I know what he's going to do because he talked about it. He actually has.
Sorry. Could you repeat what you were saying?
Okay. So I know what he's going to talk about. Because I said, you know what, if he can't, Chase can't do it, I don't think anybody's seen me.
Jay, beest thou mute for a second? Gesundheit, though.
Dude, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Gesundheit. All right, bless you, Jay. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
So, I did look at his list of what he wanted to debate. Now, I can debate basically on anything as long as I know the topic. Sometimes even when I don't, because, yes, I'll look it up or I'll use AI in that case. But some of this stuff is not like... He said, like, he has topics he was going to talk on Timcast. It's trans women are biologically men. Intelligence is real and heritable. I'm like, yes, are most traits. Yes, intelligence is real. I don't know what the debate on that would be. Okay, IQ exists. I'm not debating. Most bums on welfare are there as a result of their own choices. I would argue that inflation and definitely, a lot of government programs are making people lazy. This one, I think, would get people in trouble. But I'd still. Africans are disproportionately criminal compared to other races at every income level in every country. Open borders make America less free. Many criminals are born that way, and rehabilitation is sustainable. I completely disagree with that. Ending apartheid made South Africa worse. Homosexuality is heritable, and most traits is spreading because of cultural encouragement. So. I could debate him on a lot of those topics, and I have a lot of good stuff, but I think some of this stuff could get you in a lot of hot water because he's going to say stuff, and then if you haven't prepared well, then yeah, you come off sounding really, really bad, and you could alienate people.
Well,
that being said, I'll debate him on anything. I definitely like to debate him. I like to go on Timcast and debate because, hey, I debate a lot of people. That being said, I don't see necessarily him turning that down as a big thing, but I don't mind going on Timcast because Timcast does get a lot more views than the mainstream media.
So
that's where I stand on it.
My response in general, every single one of those things needs its own debate. The idea that anybody was going to try and battering ram all of those fucking subjects out on the same episode is fucking, like, it's either evil or dumb. It's one of the two. And I always lean toward evil. Like, I am not the motherfucker who ascribes to ascribes to malice what could adequately, ignorance what could adequately be described by malice. Something like that, whatever. I ascribe it to malice. It's going to be ascribed by malice. Because, like, every single one of those subjects has so many things attached to it. And when you have all of those subjects that you're just sort of trying to battering ram somebody with, what you're essentially saying is, this is my grilling session. This is where I get to post all of my talking points for my audience, and I don't give a shit whether or not the actual shit is constructive or we drive at anything meaningful. I just want to start spewing my garbage. And I've seen debates on Timpool before, and they aren't debates. What they are unstructured fuckfests where somebody comes on, is routinely interrupted and treated like shit, not given enough time to say what they were going to say, not treated with dignity when they do say what they're going to say, and generally their points aren't even really well addressed at all, much less addressed in a way that meaningfully, like, disproves or assuages their concerns. So it's like, I don't fucking care. Tim Pool is a shitbag. If it was like a Soho forum, sure. Like, fucking Scott Horton versus Bill Kristol. If it was something like that, if it was a real debate with a moderator and rules and time, and you couldn't be a piece of shit, you actually had to give a fuck about decorum, that'd be one thing. Tim Pool doesn't have debates. He has unmoderated spat fuckfests where one person is the target. That's what he has. And so I can understand completely saying, I'm going to go to Stossel instead, especially since Tim doesn't do his things streamed. He doesn't do over-the-internet debates. He doesn't have over-the-internet conversations like this. He would fly the motherfucker down. So if he already had plans to be on John Stossel or something like it, it's like, which are you going to go on? Are you going to go on the place where you can have an actually thorough discussion? Or are you going to go on the place where you're going to be treated like shit by an adversarial group of fasci-coded bitches who won't let you even finich your thought? Like, it makes sense.
Correct. Okay. For the record, I don't think Karen Ann Harlos and then Michael Rechtenwald are fascists. And actually,
Tim Pool is a fascist. That's what I was saying. I was saying Tim Pool and his audience are fascists.
I think, okay, I don't think Tim Pool is a fascist. I think Tim Pool basically, from what I can tell, Tim and Luke ask questions. I don't know if they have a position exactly as much as they just sit there and ask, kind of like Joe Rogan, as far as
okay. What is the character of their questions? What side are they always questioning and never not questioning the other side really of? It's the left. It's the social justice crowd. It's the people that they think are on the side of the wokes. Those are the people they grill. They're on the far right. They're not libertarians because they're like actively supporting authoritarian policies against those they believe to be woke. So that makes them authoritarian right-wingers. And if they're far authoritarian right-wingers who don't like the more moderate, like milquetoast right-wingers that are authoritarian, that makes them upper right quadrant, like upper right quadrant. It doesn't make them like some centrist because they just ask questions. If the questions that they're always asking and then interrupting people when they answer about are always toward one side and always in defense of a specific set of positions that are backing of a fascist culture and mentality. They're building a culture. It's fascist.
Okay. But I'd say like with Rechtenwald and Karen Ann Harlos, those aren't bad to have on that because like I like Rechtenwald, I like Kara. So those two are good, but yeah, it's just like he has like 10 topics he wants to battering ram all of those. It's like literally like saying like, all right, let's debate the whole history.
Yeah, that's
Europe
not productive.
Or the Middle East. And I'm like, dude, if you're gonna have a podcast that debates like the whole history of Europe and the Middle East, that's gonna be like 10 episodes. But no, well, let's cram it into 1 hour. It's like, oh, okay, like you're not really gonna get really far. It's just gonna be like. So what I say is, I'm a left libertarian in a lot of ways. And I'm definitely going to keep pushing. Let's debate. He doesn't understand what most right libertarians think left libertarian is anybody who I don't know, it has to be in a weird way. Anybody who or anybody who has a friend who's a minority or friends who are LGBTQ. To me, left libertarian is more of an organizational understanding of democratic confederalism. I'm going to organize into assemblies, and those assemblies work with people. Yes, it is caring about the environment. It's also caring, organizing your society if you want to into a commune, as opposed to what we have now, like ANCOMs, and I think there's also a problem people don't understand, and actually YouTube, some people on YouTube are getting it right, but not enough, where a lot of people, whether it's, and I'm not blaming people completely for this, there's a huge swath of the internet, just like they conflate capitalism and corporatism together on the left. There are people on the right who say leftists are liberals, or if you even look up leftist on Google, it says someone who has left-wing politics. Well, does that mean destiny? Does that mean somebody like, I don't know, Sam Cedar?
Destiny is far-right authoritarian. He supports the Israeli genocide.
Correct. So to me, liberal, if you have conservatives who enable fascism, to me, liberals are the friendly side. They're like, oh man, fascism isn't that bad. Well, let me put a smiley face sticker on it.
Well,
hey, let me get some Starbucks latte while I debate, U.S. imperialism, and let me say like, hey, I think Raytheon should have diversity. That's to me what liberals do. They enable fascism by saying, let's make fascism friendly with a friendly sticker, kids. So to me, a leftist is a post-capitalist philosophy. You can even say Rothbard was a leftist in a way because he advocated for anarcho-capitalism, which would have been or a post-corporatist. You can even say leftism's a post-corporatist thing, which includes, in my opinion, Marxist-Leninism, although I don't like that. State socialism, not a fan, but it has good stuff like anarcho-communism. It also has libsoc. It has a lot of, I would consider myself a communalist, mutualist, all that type of stuff. When people understand that, then the libertarian left takes on a new meaning where it's an organizational structure that's post-capitalist and works in communities and popular assemblies rather than just, hey, it's some lefty dude who waves is at some event or something. So, sorry if that was long.
So generally, and to sort of bring it back to center, the thing about, to respond to some of the later comments, Rose says, I always get the sense that Tim Pool, doesn't have any particularly strong political positions of his own. When I, I'm directly relating this to Chase, deciding not to go, or just, honestly, he might not have even seen any of the shit. That's my thing. We don't even know for a fact. But, either way. Point is, Tim Pool does have strong opinions. And that's why he has only certain guests. That's why he has only certain employees. That's why he has only certain questions. That's why he has only certain things that he appeals to in his video titles, his thumbnails, his subject matter. That's why he'll emphasize certain sources of information that he brings up, because, a lot of what he does is simply, let me read a news article that just came up and act as though it confirms my biases and is therefore true. It's the people that he boosts on social media. It's the things that he says associated with that. It's telling Luke to shut the fuck up when he started talking about Trump's Operation Warp Speed, because it's necessary to Tim Pool's fascist bullshit to, silence opposition when they challenge his favorite authoritarian right-wing fucking guy, when he has Laura Loomer on the show. So it's that's what it is. He does have strong beliefs. He does have strong positions, and he makes those clear with who he interrupts, how he talks to them, and generally who he doesn't interrupt and how he talks to them. And that makes it understandable if Chase did decide not to show that he didn't, because there's certain better and worse ways to spend your time, and again, Tim Pool requires that you be in person for his streams, which means that he has cost-benefit analyses to do. Am I going to get flown out to Tim Pool's fucking skateboard or cum compound, or am I going to go to John Stossel? Maybe he made a value judgment, and if he made the value judgment to go to John Stossel and not Tim Pool for that particular moment, especially given the fact that it was going to be a bullshit hostile exchange with a fascist who wants black people to go back to Africa, hates trans people, and is leaving the Libertarian Party because they weren't Trumpish enough. Generally speaking, I can understand the value judgment of choosing somewhere else to put your time and money. So, that's my general vibe of that, and I think Tim Pool does have strong beliefs, and it shows with the bias of how he treats people and who he has. So, that's my general vibe that I can respond with. And then, to come back, fucking, Kant, Lonathew, who I'm still hoping at some point I can get on the show, says, need a mix of local activism and politics, use variety of strategies and openness to working with people and practicing democracy by giving ordinary people voice, presentation, and ways to power. Focus more on spirit of freedom and I think this was how to fix the car. Focus more on spirit of freedom and fluidity rather than focus on bureaucracy and getting enamored by power. Power for liberation and consciousness of problems to fix for the better freedom and flourishing of people, rather than power for domination and keeping the status quo while playing games and pretending. In essence, move the party away from traditional aspects of party and toward a spirit of movements at all angles, even in politics. Remove separation from principles and people. Keep together and move toward leadership through service. Seems reasonable. Jamie?
Yeah, I love it. I've been saying I'm going to make Michigan radical again.
Very cool.
This is definitely my kind of vibe. One of the things, going back to the whole defending Dana thing, there's a time and a place for propriety, but I hate this respectability politics. I mean, I'm so anti-respectability politics.
Don't you want to be relevant?
Relevant to me is not putting on the clown suit that the Republicans and Democrats and the authoritarians and the tyrants of the world have put on. I mean, when you make a shit sandwich and you just put mayo on it, it's still not going to be good.
Especially since I don't like
Just
mayo.
saying.
Mayo isn't even good.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm white.
I'm uber white. I'm over here, but there comes a point when you got to have some principles. And for me, why not just sour cream and sauerkraut? You can get a similar effect to mayo, but better and less bad.
Hey, I like that combination, especially with my pierogi.
Yeah, see, you get it.
Right.
Fuck mayo. It's like weird. It's like if you leave if you leave male essence out a little bit too long, it turns into a mayo. Yeah, you see. Now you're gonna hate mayo because that's why I hate mayo.
I you've done it for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But yeah, that Kant is all about that. He's longtime viewer of the channel, and he's all about well, if the Libertarian Party is going to have a purpose, it should be to convey principles. And if your candidates aren't doing that, and if your messaging isn't doing that, and if all you are is another vehicle for power to get somewhat proximal to Republicans or Democrats, what the fuck are you doing here? Jacking off? He probably wouldn't say it exactly that way, but he'll say yes, basically, except, whatever. I'm putting that through the Jeremiah translator. It comes with extra obscenity. But that's I think that's something that everybody here can vibe with to some extent. And I think that's what Dana was trying to kind of do in some respects, bring it back to principle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rose said, I'm with Bryce on this one. I'm too stubborn to leave the dumpster fire. That would be admitting defeat. Reinhold says 30 years here. So, and Reinhold's been on the stream before. We're going to have more streams with both Rose and Reinhold at some point. But this one was more MI focused and people who were primarily blah blah interested in the Dana situation and etc. So Reinhold says, Indiana has the best recipe. It's not about relevance. It's about professionalism. So I guess he's Indiana, not Pennsylvania. We can get principled libertarian messaging out without insulting the people we want to hear the message. Let your freak flag fly, but don't make people reject your message before they can even hear it. Dennis Pratt is a huge one. I think insulting Dennis as well. They'll know us by our results. Well, Ryan Holds comments there. Rose also said, meh, they showed up and voted, so I wouldn't say a hostile takeover is accurate. The problem is they didn't stick to their principles. Yeah, Rose is one of the people who thinks that this has all gone sideways, and that the Mises Caucus could have been something great, but now they've become the Mises Caucus, and now they aren't. They are very much just getting fucked by leadership. So, she also says, and this is near the end of comments, as an anarchist, the production, distribution, and possession of mayo should be punishable by life in prison. Fucking mayo. John Cobb, hello. You came in late. We are actually about to end this stream, but I want to have you on again. Especially to talk about recent LNC stuff and also the paleo stuff and the woke stuff. There's lots of stuff to discuss. So feel free to hit up my DMs. You know where to find me. But so we're coming in. We're butting up against 2.5 hours here. Let's start getting some closing statements up in this bitch. Anything you want to tell Andrew? Anything you want to say in support of Dana? Anything you want to finish out on? We'll start with Jamie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I mean, the party needs more Danas. I mean, I wish I could. Andrew, fuckchatterton.org.
Yeah. So, we'll go to Angela. Words.
Yes, I'm sorry. Words, microphones, buttons, push, old people, sucks. Yes, indeed. Fuckchatterton.org is a real site. Totally recommend it. I am going to dive into another way that you guys can help us is to donate money. We still have court cases going on. We are trying to fight Andrew to get the people who were elected to those 2 seats that he refuses to seat. If we can get those people in those seats, that would be a huge deal. At least allow him to stop disaffiliating entire affiliates, to stop purging members who don't agree with him. So we do have a website set up for that, www.lncfight.org/Michigan, and we thank you in advance. Anything helps. People have been so generous with that. It really does make a difference. It keeps our spirits up. It keeps our lawyer fed, of course. But seeing how many people believe that we are right and that we do need to fight this fight for the good of the party is been incredibly humbling and overwhelming at the same time. So if you have donated, thank you. Please donate again. If you haven't donated, please consider it. I know this is that time of year when everybody's begging for your money. The candidates need it. The party needs it. We all just got back from convention, but every little bit helps. Just want to go back to that one more time, www.fuckchatterton.org, which is not a donation site. It just is the site that we think everybody should visit to find out about Andrew. So thank you for your hospitality, Jeremiah, and I'll let you have the mic back.
Thank you to both of you who've already spoken. Carl?
Yeah, I just want to end by saying www.fuckinterchatterton or fuckchatterton.org, not interchatterton, educational site, and everybody show up for Dana. I believe the special meeting, I believe, is on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken, where she's going to be take 3 to censure Dana. So we'll see how that goes, but hopefully she gets by yet again. We'll see.
Yeah, because they're running her out on a rail during her religious holiday because they can get away with it because she's she doesn't have a popular religion in the U.S. Like if they did this with somebody saying that they were like, you know, doing, you know, Lent or something or whatever, it would be non-questionable. But because she's doing like Litha, if I understand correctly, it's suddenly okay to say, no, you in fact can't do that. And if you do, you won't be present for us ousting you and being fascist pieces of shit. Because make no mistake, that was fascism, which occurred in that meeting. Kareem.
All right. So closing statements are: I'm Kareem. You can find me on Twitter at Kareem6633. You can also find me on Facebook and the Essential Libertarians. I will be kicking that off and maybe another channel soon to talk theory, because there's a lot of things that are incorrect and people don't understand on the internet, at least from my perspective, when it comes to anarchism and when it comes to economics and also social systems. I was a delegate for PA. I am going to be supporting Chase Oliver because, as far as I'm concerned, I don't agree with him on everything, but he's good on the two things that matter. You know, we talked with Keith about this, and that's war and central banking. So he has called out the genocide, and he also understands economics to a degree, which is good. You know, he said he'd end the Fed, so that's fine. He doesn't necessarily have to like Ron Paul. It's not a requirement. It's nice, but it's not a requirement. So I'm going to be doing what I can to help Chase. I think he's the best thing, and hopefully can pull some votes from Biden and Trump. Also, while I was talking to the Lars Mapstead campaign, they talked about Stop 270, which I think is actually a reasonable goal. It's like people say, do you want to win? Not necessarily, but if we get Jill Stein, if we get RFK, you know, I don't like RFK, but if we get Jill Stein, RFK, and Chase working together, yes, we can disrupt the duopoly. That'll be a lot of fun. Kind of funny to see people scramble, be like, what the heck's going on? You broke my system. My system don't work. And at this point, I'd say, like, you know, I don't actually see any good reason to, like, people say you're a single issue voter. Well, when Russia puts a nuclear submarine next to, you know, Florida, I think you can be a single issue voter. When there's genocide going on, I think you can be a single issue voter on war. That's just me. Like, okay, even the thing like the border or not, like, we can have a debate on that. I think people don't understand open borders or closed borders. It's subsidized immigration. And it's also messing in other people's countries, so they have to come here as opposed to wanting to come here, and that'll change. That's a whole nother conversation, though. So find me on Twitter, find me on Facebook. Check out Essential Libertarians, Anarch Unity, and also Keith's website. I haven't shouted that out. Attackthesystem, all one word.com. And that's it.
What I'll say is that until we get rid of the Andrew Chatterdons, the fucking Adrian Malagons, the, you know, fucking toxic elements in these spaces that keep on emphasizing non-libertarians and non-libertarian ideas over libertarians and libertarian ideas, all you're going to get with this takeover is an authoritarian takeover. And given the fact that these people are supporting an authoritarian right takeover and hate the left and the wokes and the whatever, that authoritarian right-wing takeover is generally going to trend toward the authoritarian right extremes. That leads to fascism, and we're watching the culture right now.
Correct.
Any tweet that we see about Chase Oliver in a positive way, you see anti-minority sentiment, you see sentiments against migration, you see sentiments against women, you see sentiments against all these fucking like groups that are targeted by the fascists. And when you have that, you have a culture that is generally being built up that will enable the same sorts of mentalities that created the rise of Nazi Germany and fascist Italy. And I think that that's kind of, you know, fucking insanely bad. So my thing is, fuck the fascists, fight the fascists, and anywhere you can, push back against them. So there will be, as soon as possible, a link to documents and things we can do practically to prevent the fascist ousting of an actual libertarian from Michigan. And so, with that being said, Kareem, you wanted to add some?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Dave said right before Trump spoke, "Hey, we're not a bunch of college leftists." What happens when Dave loses one time? And I'd even say loses half. Half. We still had Angela, voted for Angela, but he didn't get Clint. He didn't get Rechtenwald. He's like, I can't call myself a libertarian. I got to leave. I got to distance myself. Dave, that's interesting. We're not a bunch of college leftists. College leftists are actually getting in confrontations with police and agitators, and they're still standing by. But you lose a little bit, and you're gone. So, and I don't hate Dave Smith. I like him on some things. He's good on some podcasts, but it's interesting to me that people say, oh, the left, and complain about the left. The left are the ones taking actual action. And there's even leftists outside of the Congress in Argentina who are, I don't know, confronting the authorities. So, that seems a little bit more libertarian than joining military alliances with the U.S. and Ukraine with Javier Minochet, who is not a libertarian. He's not. I posted that thing like he's not. People got to stop thinking Milei is some kind of libertarian dude like Daniel McAdams says because, well, he said a couple cool things or he had the chainsaw. I mean, like, I like some performative stuff too. I like Vermin Supreme. But I also like performative stuff, and then you back it up and do real world things, not just be like, yeah, man, liberty's cool. Woo! Let's join NATO, Malay or equal. That's my point. So stop. People need to stop liking Malay. Now, also, going into left-wing theory.
And do make this fast, because we are going to leave soon.
I'll make it real fast.
Yeah.
Going to left-wing theory, I believe in getting rid of all unnecessary hierarchies. I believe, Keith is right, and that's the other half of the equation. If you say we want a voluntary society, get rid of hierarchies that don't need to exist. President doesn't need to exist. So I disagree with, people cheering Malay, but I also don't agree with Daniel McAdams, saying I like Putin or these other people. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and we will have more discussions of this variety, and y'all are welcome to join me, as are the other people who had to book early. Well, actually, honestly, late. This has been dragging the fuck on. But thank you to everybody who showed up, and this is yet more reasons, yet more motive, yet more fuel. Like, share, and subscribe, and smash the fucking state. Free Dana.
Free Dana.
Free Dana. Bash
Free
the
Dana.
fash. Bash the fash like Johnny Cash.
Free Dana, and thank you, Jeremiah, for having us.
Thank you.